Hi everyone, welcome to Unstoppable Entrepreneur, season number 3, Becoming Professionally Famous Online. We're episode number 2, welcome. For those of you who are joining us live, hello, thanks for coming on. For those watching the replay, welcome. What I wanted to talk with you guys about today is around marketing message matching. Now, typically what happens, good morning, let me know that you're on and that you can hear me. Often what happens when people's marketing don't work, they think that it's based on the medium or the platform and things like that, where a lot of the time what I've found is that it's actually more around them getting caught up, or you guys getting caught up, and sometimes I do this as well. You get really caught up in the lingo or the language around what it is that you normally do. So what I spent some time doing a few weeks ago, I might have shared this with you a little bit, was a friend of mine, Joe, really wanted some help with a landing page that she'd created for an event that she's putting on. So how she was selling it was that it was a 2-day event, followed by 8 weeks of support. Now, that was kind of like the really big, so I want to use this as a bit of a case study. That was kind of like the really big focal point for this piece of marketing that she was putting out. 2 days and then 8 weeks of support, and it was called a Success Mindset Masterclass. Now, I had a look at it and that was fine, and she got some other feedback from a couple of other people, and what we worked out was that there was actually this really big disconnect between what it was that she was trying to say and how the message was actually landing. So what this means is that if you go to a landing page or a piece of writing or somewhere, it could even be somebody's Facebook page, and you kind of go, that wasn't really what I expected to see today, or that's not really what I expected to hear, or that's kind of doesn't match. What it does is it creates a disconnect. Now, it's not always something that happens on a conscious level. Often it will happen on an unconscious level. There will be this disconnect, and this is what we call a marketing message mismatch. So often, if you're going out to market talking about the features of what it is that you do, so if you're a coach, you might say, you know what, I'm a coach, and you're going to get me for 6 sessions, and we're going to have accountability, and that's great, and I'm sure you're amazing. But it's not really helpful when we're thinking about marketing. It can create that disconnect. Some people call this cognitive dissonance. It's where they see something, and then they see something else, and they kind of just go like, not really what I thought. So we don't want to be creating any space for that to happen. So how do we fix this? Now, I was chatting with a group of clients actually this morning about what needs to happen when you're thinking about the kind of marketing you're putting out there, whether it's for profile building, platform building, social media. It might be around landing pages and things like that. We've got to bring it back to basics. So when I was chatting to Jo, she was like, oh my God, we need to change the landing page. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's do that. That's fine. But I have some questions to ask you first. So if you're wanting to do a bit of a self-audit on your marketing message, these are the questions that you need to be working out the answers to before you start doing anything else. So number 1, who is the audience? Now, I know that this sounds kind of obvious perhaps, but we want to think about who is the audience, who am I speaking to? Is it the same people that I've been talking to over the last few weeks? Is it a bit different? Who is my market? So for those of you who are joining us live, I can see some of you are logging on. Let me know that you can hear me. And you can let me know who your audience is. That would be really cool to know, actually. Who are the people that you're wanting to talk to? Who are the people that you want to connect with? Who are the people that you want to market yourself to through this whole online profile building thing that you're doing? So who is your audience? So when I asked Jo this, she started blathering at me. She was talking about clinicians, she's talking about health professionals, and she then started tapping into, and this is what I love, the part of what I do. She then started telling me less about the demographic of who her audience is in terms of male, female, age, vocation, whatever. I want to then know what are the big problems that they're having. So I said to her, what are the problems that they're having? And she just started again, ing at me, which is awesome. I actually get my clients, when we start working together, you can take this on board. I get them to write out 54 problems, at least 54 problems that their audience is having. So this can be from mindset to health, to motivation, to lack of inspiration, lack of support, poor communication, feeling overwhelmed, feeling tired, feeling stressed, juggling, yelling at the kids too much, whatever. Like, there is a million different problems that we could come up with, but we want to document as many as we can. So Joe started telling me all of these problems that these people are having, and I said, okay, that's great, that's awesome. You know, I'm really feeling like I'm able to get myself into her audience's shoes so that I can feel like I can empathize with them. We've actually been, as an aside, my husband and I started watching, I don't know if you guys are Netflix fans, started watching a show called The Alienist, which is set way back, I think in the early 1900s, and I'm really enjoying it. And the episode that we watched last night was all around essentially they're profiling a killer, and the way that they are at the moment is that the doctor, who's a psychologist, it was when psychology first started, because the show's a true account of exactly what happened. He's talking about psychology, and it's all about getting into the place of empathy of the person that you're trying to profile so that you can understand their psychology, so that you can understand their way of thinking. Because if you can understand how someone is thinking, where they've been, what their motivators are, it doesn't mean that you need to approve or condone what it is that they might have done, but it helps you to understand them. And if you can understand them, then you can communicate with them. And if you can communicate with them, you're able to build rapport, and then you're able to find them, right? So it's exactly the same with our marketing. So what were the main problems? So I said to Joe, all right, what are the 3 big problems that people are having, that like the big picture problems? And she said, oh my gosh, they are so overwhelmed that they just don't even know where to start, what to do next, where to turn to, and things like that. I've gone, great, awesome. So I've got my my notepad where I was furiously taking notes on the answers that she was giving me. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like, big problem number 1 is overwhelm. So what's the next problem that they have? And she was explaining to me, and I didn't fully understand this from a health profession perspective. She was explaining to me that one of the really, really big problems for clinicians is around how they can market themselves in a way that doesn't undermine their professional standing. So it was really interesting to me to be able to understand that, ethically marketing themselves as health professionals, so psychologists, rehabilitation consultants, all of those, vast array of allied health professionals. She was explaining to me that they can't do all of the things that we can do. So they can't do case studies, they can't do tests, they can't use testimonials and stuff like that. So that they get really scared around how they're actually going to be able to promote themselves, right? So that's the second big problem that they have. And they go, okay, cool, that's awesome. Really, really brilliant to know. And then the third thing, she said they are so freaking scared of burnout. So afraid of burnout, so afraid of doing all of this work, and then they're not going to be able to do the work that they're here to do because they want to heal people, they want to help people. And there's this big thing in the health industry, and apparently it gets propagated kind of through the colleges and the universities and where they study around, if you have the ability to help someone, you need to help them. So there's this whole kind of culture that has been created in this industry around having to show up and almost martyr yourself and give to the point of burnout. It's almost expected that they're going to burn out in order to do more of what it is that they need to do. Now, in my view of the world, that's like a whole bunch of bullshit, and nobody should do that, right? You've got to have boundaries, you have your times, and this, that, and the other. But what was interesting for me was to be able to get into that person's shoes, her audience, and go, okay, great. So we've got 3 big problems, right? So you're with me. So what we're doing is we're creating a marketing message match. So when we did a bit of an autopsy of what she had created, it was very filled with jargon. It was very clinician speak. There was no real kind of sense of humanity and empathy built in anywhere within her copy. Now, if you imagine someone who's overwhelmed, they're worried about ethically promoting themselves, and they're afraid of burnout, we can't kind of batter them over the head with, this is what you need to do, this is how to do it, this is what you need to do with your mindset, no, right? And it's going to take 2 days, then you get 8 weeks of support. It was kind of unhelpful. So in terms of how we then moved to create the match, we started writing, and we started talking to this person, saying, you know what, we know what it's like being really overwhelmed, worried about burning out, and worried about marketing yourself worried about marketing yourself and promoting yourself in order for you to be able to get more clients. So we kind of softened it and took them through a bit of a journey. The other thing that Joe was really excited and passionate about was the fact that this isn't just a 2-day event. It's actually about 10 weeks of support. So that was communicated nowhere in this original page. So we had to talk about how this is actually a series, that this is not a magic pill. This is not a silver bullet. This is not just an instant fix, add water, come to my 2-day event and everything's going to be magically fixed for you, right? So in order to create that type of a feeling throughout this new copy, we needed to really understand the audience first. So, and then what we needed to do is look at how was what we were selling, which was the masterclass series, how is what we're selling fixing those problems, right? Now remember, the problem was overwhelm, ethically marketing, and burnout. So if you're talking to someone, like, so we've got a little audience person here going like, oh, hello, and we've worked out what the 3 problems are, when you're addressing the solution and you're talking about what you're selling, you need to be able to show that these problems are going to be fixed by these things. So yeah, we've got 8 weeks of support, but how does that help with this? So we don't want you to be overwhelmed, so we're going to do it step by step. We want to make sure that you're marketing yourself ethically, so this is what you're going to learn. We don't want you to burn out, so this is how we're going to fix that, right? So through point number 1. So then point number 2, where we're going to address those 3 things again. Because the thing that we've got to remember, when we're looking at marketing message match, the solution that we're selling, so the market is your audience, right? It's just the jargony word. So it's the audience, it's your people, it's your niche, it's who we're talking to. We've got to make sure that what we're selling, whether it's something that it's free, whether it's a free training, whether it's a live video, whatever it is, it's got to match the problems that you've identified with your audience. Otherwise, it all breaks. It kind of goes like, it just creates that disconnect or the cognitive dissonance. People don't understand what it is that you're really trying to say. So that was what we learned as part of doing this autopsy, and I found it really interesting actually to work through that process, because it's just kind of like I just kind of do it, and it wasn't until we broke it down into those kinds of steps that we're going to go, oh yeah, cool, like this is how you're going to do that. So that's part of it. I think the other part that we're talking about, so as you know, like this whole Unstoppable Entrepreneur season is geared around becoming professionally famous online. So it's not only around the things that you're selling and stuff like that, it's also around you growing your presence, growing social media, growing your visibility, and doing it strategically. because I am a fan of doing things that are, number one, helpful. Like, I think you guys have got that by now. But also, number two, we've got to take a look at a way of actually being able to grow your business, grow your clients, grow your profile, grow your career, grow referrals, grow networking, like whatever your end game is, we've got to be able to use that strategically. So how do we do that? Well, you need to increase your level of activity. Okay, so I've been talking about this a lot over the last few weeks. I want you to be seen everywhere, but we've got to have it so that it's a marketing message match. So when you're putting your stuff out there, I want you to be thinking about the 3 main platforms that you're going to be hanging out. So number one, you need to have a Facebook page. If you don't have one, go create one. Go create one now. Make it under your name. Just suck it up, princess. You need to do it. You've got to have a Facebook business page, right? Then you've got to have a website, and you've got to have some blogs up there, or vlogs, or audio blogs, like podcasts, however it is that you're populating your website with content. You've got to have some stuff up there. And then you've got to have a third platform, which is kind of like your free choice. So it could be Instagram, it could be LinkedIn, it could be Twitter, it could be Snapchat, wherever your audience is hanging out. But we need to populate them with content. So how do we still continue this marketing message match thing going on? You got it. It comes back to audience. So the way that we want to think about this, and the easiest way that I've found to train this over the last 6 years, and the easiest way that I've been able to process this and do it for myself, is I always come back and think about, all right, if I'm about to go live on Facebook, or if I'm about to put a post up, or if I'm about to create a blog or a podcast, what does my audience need to hear right now? What is the biggest problem that they're facing right now? So it's 11:15 on a Tuesday morning, and if you're not listening to me live, then you're watching this later. And typically what happens at around this time of the morning is there's been a flurry of work from starting at 9 or 8:30, or whenever you've dropped the kids off, assuming you've got kids. You start punching it out, and that's great. And then by the time you get to 11, it's kind of like, okay, there is so much I need to do. There's only so many hours left in the day. How am I going to keep moving through? So I would usually give something, if I think about, all right, if my audience, let's pretend that my audience are lots of little clones of a lady called Sarah, or a guy called Paul. I'm like, all right, what does Sarah and Paul need to hear at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday? And what I would probably consider is, all right, just go up and put up one post. Just go, put your tools down right now, stop what you're doing. Don't turn off this video though. Go over, once this video is finished, I want you to tools down, go to your computer or to your phone, and go put up one post on Facebook that motivates your audience, or that inspires your audience, or solves a problem for your audience. So in order to be able to do that, you've got to know your audience really, really well, right? Which takes us back to the conversation we're having at the start. We've got to be able to put yourself in the shoes of your audience and try and work out what they're thinking. Now, I know for my people, a big thing that comes up, one of the big problems or stress points that they have is, why should I spend more time on social media? Why can't I just outsource this shit? Why do I have to have a Facebook business page? Why do I have to have 3 platforms, Nicola? I don't know what to say. How do I come up with content? This is all really overwhelming. How much time do I need to spend? How long do the posts need to be? Do I need to go there live every day, or can I just do it once a week? There's all, like, that's 10 without thinking too hard. What's a call to action? How do I get an ROI? What the hell is a funnel? I don't even know what a funnel is. How do I actually make money from all of this? How do I leverage social media? Do I need to have a website? Why do I need to have a website? What do the people need to hear? How do I know what their problems are? So, there's all of that stuff that is going on, and we really need to be able to step into your audience's shoes in order to fully understand what is going on for them, what their biggest blockages are, what their biggest stumbling points are or speed bumps, and then give them a way that you can help them to solve that. So that's really the big thing around how to create a marketing message match. So this kind of leads us into the next phase of today's episode, which is how do you know if it's even working? So one of the big things that I would be doing if I were you is doing a self-audit. So here's the way that you'll do that. You'll go over to your Facebook page and you have a look at the types of posts that you've got going up there. Are they text? Is it an incessant amount of picture quotes and quote graphics? Are they all text posts? Are you sharing video? Like, just document what you've done and what style has been posted. Go over to your website and have a look at all of the different blogs, like maybe the blog titles. And what I would do, and this is when I'm doing digital audits for people, this is the hat that I wear. I'm like, I don't even look at, they always tell me who their audience is. I don't even pay attention to what they've given me at the start. I'm like, all right, fresh eyes. If I go over here and look, who does it seem to be talking to? So we look at the level of activity first. Look at the types of things you're talking about. Is it solving problems? Because if your content is not solving problems, then people aren't always going to see exactly, what it is that you can do and how it is that you can do it and how that makes you different to everybody else who's gas bagging and spruiking their stuff all over the place. The next thing that I look at when I'm going over to their website is, number one, who's the audience that this seems to be speaking to? Is it solving problems? And do these two things match? So if I'm looking at a Facebook business page and I'm also looking at a website, I usually have two tabs open. I'm like, all right, does what's going on over here match what's going on over here? And then I'll also audit the third platform, whether it's Instagram or LinkedIn or wherever, and go, okay, is it all matching? So presumably what you're doing, if you're putting out any kind of social media stuff, if you're doing any level of marketing, or if you want to, then we need to make sure that we've got a marketing message match. And that's not just in like the individual silos of the platforms, but it's got to be consistent overall. Is this making sense, guys? Just going to draw some breath. For those of you who are live, let me know. Oh, it looked like I was not wearing anything. For those of you who are live, let me know that this is helpful. If you're watching the replay, let me know that this is helpful. So again, the whole thing around marketing message match is making sure that everything is consistent. Everything is consistent across the board. Now, you can leverage here your stories, your experience, your knowledge, and everything like that. Just make sure you always tie it back to the audience that you're talking to and make sure that you're solving their problems. So that is what I wanted to chat with you guys about today. Now, if you want me to do an audit for you, let me know. Oh, thanks, Jen. Thank you. Glad that you could make it live. You're getting everywhere at the moment. All right. Excellent, Marie. Glad it's making sense. Thanks for weighing in. I appreciate it. If you guys want me to do a digital audit for you, let me know. Send me a message and I'll shoot you through the link so that I can get that underway. You'll get a 5-page report and you can make sure that you've got that marketing message match happening and then everything linking through. So that's that for you today. I think the big thing though, oh, Jen, I'm in sick leave. Oh, golly. Hope you're not burned out. Get well soon. That's not really good. That's not good. Yes. Cool. So any questions, let me know. We've got Q&A Wednesday happening tomorrow. So I've had some questions emailed through, which is brilliant. If you've got questions, email them to me or message me. My email is nicola@nicolamoras.com.au. Would love to answer them for you. Otherwise, have a really awesome kick-ass day. Get out there and start putting more posts out. Put out some calls to action, add more value, and just remember all the time, solve problems, add value, solve problems, and, focus on getting this stuff happening, all right? I will see you guys for Unstoppable Entrepreneur. This one, Becoming Professionally Famous, Season 3, Episode 3 next week, which is, we're talking about being you online, which might sound kind of a little like, duh, but really so many people get so concerned with how to show up. And I know, this is where I was. I'll share a little bit about how I was when I started doing stuff online in 2010. It was freaking horrific. Like, oh my God. Actually quite embarrassing. If you want to have a laugh between now and next Tuesday when we do this season, episode number 3, go to my YouTube channel, sort them from the oldest to the youngest videos, and you will probably wet your pants laughing at me. I'm sorry, not sorry. It's really freaking hilarious. So being you in business, being you online, and how you can kind of do that in the most authentic, I know it's a buzzword, I'm sorry, in the most authentic way humanly possible, again, while still creating this marketing message match, because that's super important, right? And just being real. And I know that it's all well and good for me to say that, but really you can do it right now. You can get out there, you can start having conversations with people, you can do this, and I will chat with you next week about how to do that in the most relaxed and I think simple way humanly possible without feeling like a dickhead. Sound okay? Awesome. Have a beautiful, amazing day. I will see you tomorrow for the coffee run Q&A day. Otherwise, I'll catch you next Tuesday for episode number 3. Talk to you soon. Bye.